Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, this is only half over.
Bonjour, bonjour, comment ça va?
I could say, comme ci, comme ça, comme ci, comme ça.
Nice.
There you go. Ha!
Yeah, there we go.
Thanks, Miss Chiminell. Roten.
Perfection.
What was the other one?
It too is and you.
Right. It. Yeah, I was gonna say it too.
Oh,
it too.
Ça va bien, et tu?
It too. Yeah, that's the one I was searching for. But I just have the mental image. I don't know if you remember the way she taught.
Yes,
she was very animated.
What helps you remember?
Hands, right?
Right.
And I remember exactly. That's exactly what happened. Was I remember the face and her hand. You know, she held up her hands, going "comme ci."
So it's that. Yeah, I remember. Oh, ça va bien. Oh, ça va comme ci, comme ça, or ça va mal. Right. That's what I remember that lesson very well.
Yes. Yes. Oh, good stuff. It's those things that stick in your
just
brain
like randomly.
It's just
stuck in there.
What? But it's all, yeah. And in that moment where I was like, wait a minute, what do I say? And my brain just hit her motions, and I didn't even have to think of the words. I just knew, that motion was.
Mademoiselle Chimanel, pioneer in whole brain teaching. Look at that. Didn't even know. Yeah.
Whole brain. No.
That is
it's good stuff.
I've only heard about it in the last several years. So maybe it was around back then. Maybe she was a pioneer in the field. We don't know.
We don't. How could we possibly know?
No idea.
There's no way
it's true.
Ever finding out, unfortunately.
I guess you could say,
listeners, she's still alive. Just so we
call her up. Like, hey.
Our first guest on our podcast.
Definitely go, who are you again? I don't know.
Why are you doing this to me? Why?
I'd like to think I'm a memorable type of person, but I definitely graduated like almost 15 years ago now from high school. So, and I would have had her. Yeah, so I would have had her at least 15 years ago because I didn't take French my senior year. I think it was maybe I did. I don't remember. I did 1 and 2, but I don't remember if I started French, sophomore or junior year.
I started junior and I finished senior.
I don't recall.
So
I don't remember if it was.
Yeah. You say French 1 and French 2 like there was a French 3.
I think there was actually.
There was not.
I think it was like an unofficial class. It was like That's what I remember. You had to sign up for like one of her Spanish classes, or it was like
learned French, or
it was like you signed up for French 2 again, but she gave you more stuff, and you helped her teach things. Yes. I think because there was a girl that was in French 3 that I remember, but there wasn't many. But yeah, it was like that. But I feel like I might have done it sophomore, junior. That sounds right. But I don't know for sure. Either way, just about 15 years ago now. Oy vey.
Wow. It's a bit ago.
Oy, oy, oy.
It was.
Let's not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about something else.
Anyway.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I got on here a little bit early just to make sure it was working.
Early,
so
I know.
I wasn't expecting it to connect so soon. I was like, I'll throw it open and see if it's working. Usually I do that and I just sit around and wait with the little thing that says, your meeting will start soon. And then boom, there it goes.
Wow. Yeah, no, I jumped on it too. Because I was like, well, I'm just sitting here. I might as well.
Oh, snap.
He jumps on.
That's the test. Does Aaron listen to these two? We'll find out soon.
We'll find out soon. Oh, I was instructed, I think I texted you this. I was instructed by Noah that I needed to record on Saturday so that they could listen to it on Monday when they go to school.
No, you didn't tell me that. But
that's what. Yeah. Because he was like, you need to record, brother, on Saturday. So we
just mess with him, like,
Monday.
We can't record till Monday night.
Yeah.
Or Tuesday.
No, I don't.
That's true. He isn't quite old enough for teasing, probably.
No, for messing. Yeah. No, I tried to do he's already 3.
Yeah. September. Yeah, right.
And, I tried.
What is this month? Okay, September. I couldn't remember if it was August yet.
September. It's July. Yeah. I
had to be like, what month is this? So I've been sitting in my room for like 4 months. It just it all looks the same in here.
I know, right? When is it?
Yes.
Blur's Day. No, I tried to tease them a little bit because he came to me and said his toe was really hurting, and I don't razz them at all. But I was like, oh no, what are we gonna do? I said, like, what do we need to do about it? And he was like, do we need to? He's like, Band-Aid, and I was like, or cut it off.
Yeah, probably not old enough for that yet. I tell that to my 6th graders all the time.
No,
that's just my go-to. They're like, I'm bleeding. I'll say, well, first of all, how? We're just sitting at our desks. What?
Right.
What happened?
Yeah. How did that even?
They're like, my finger's bleeding. Like, why? What are you doing? But that is generally my next. I was like, well, we could cut it off. It was especially good when I taught 5th grade after we learned about the Civil War, right? It was like, well, we have to cut it off. Literally no other option.
Right. Nope, this is the go-to.
We only cut off thing. That's it.
Hello.
Airman.
Howdy.
Oh.
You sound far away.
Hello.
There we go. I just have to get close to the microphone and talk into it.
Jerry.
Shout across the room.
Turns out.
My dad. Hello.
Unless you turn your gain up, I guess, and then step back though.
Well, I am using different headphones this time, so I don't know if that'll help and or hinder.
It'll help you anyway. To hear better.
I haven't used my laptop. I've just been using my phone for the last several recordings, so I haven't even got my mic thing out anymore. It's kind of stuffed in a corner, so I might try to pull that out next time. But I was like, I got these headphones I need to try, and we'll see how they do.
There you go.
Yep.
How's your week been so far?
Actually not too bad.
Well, hey.
Finished Hamilton. And on Disney Plus. Oh my gosh. A lot of emotions. A lot of emotion. Like I knew what was going to happen, but just the way it kind of played out, I was like, oh, the feels. Okay.
That darn Aaron Burr.
Yeah, so got to watch that, and then today, the Xbox or Microsoft released a lot of the new trailers for some of the new.
Yeah, I knew I was going to do that.
So the big thing was I watched the live stream version of the Halo Infinite release trailer and first gameplay.
Okay.
And I just didn't work for about an hour and a half. And so that was a good thing today, because throughout the week and last week, the Halo Twitter account had been like posting things. It's like 4 days left, 3 days left, and so it just kind of did the own little countdown, building up the anticipation.
Yeah, I thought that. I couldn't remember when that was supposed to be. I thought I saw something today. I was like, I should watch that. I watched something else instead. But
it's not the game itself is actually. Granted, this is someone that loved the Halo series.
Like I say, it was a very biased opinion incoming.
But it was kind of soured because they live streamed it, and they had these two random YouTube gaming people that are just obnoxious, and they're commentating or making commentary over while like the whole thing was playing, and there'd be like a really cool like fight scene, and they'd be like, "Oh wow, that's really cool!" Like over the whole audio. It's like, shut up!
That's
So if you looked at the live chat through the whole thing, it was like mute them. And I cannot confirm or deny that I may have commented as well. But watched that today. So I was like, I'm not here for you. I'm here for Master Chief. So just
true. If that's a weird, if you're there for them, you would watch their channels or whatever, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I waited a little bit, and then someone uploaded the first 9 minutes of gameplay, and I just watched that later without commentary. So it was actually nice. But yeah, that was a really cool thing that happened today, and got some work done, got some other stuff, minor things accomplished, but that was kind of the highlight of my day. And then watched and finished Hamilton, and then watched the other thing that we will get into here later. Again, brought up a lot of emotions. But yeah, other than that, that's probably pretty laid back. I start on call next week, so I'm not too thrilled. But
okay.
From what everyone says, the last few weeks have been quiet for after hours, so that'll just mean it will be quiet for me. So
True. Does anybody else remember that milk commercial with Aaron Burr? You remember that? Nope. Do you not remember this? So
what?
So let me take you back to the mid 90s. There was one of those Got Milk commercials was about Alexander Hamilton, right? So there was like a guy working in a museum eating cookies. Okay. And there was like a radio show, and it was like, if you can answer this question, you win a prize. Who shot Alexander Hamilton? But he's got his mouth full of cookies. So he's just like, he's trying to say Aaron Burr, but he can't because his mouth is so full of cookies. And he goes over and he's like, he's calling on the phone, and he's like trying to pour him some milk at the same time. And oh no, he's out of milk.
Oh, hang on, let me get some milk. No! I'm afraid your time is almost up.
And he loses the contest because the person on the radio can't understand him. And it's like, Got Milk.
I do not remember this. It's very sad.
Brilliant commercial. I love it so much.
I remember this.
It's super old. I don't even remember. One of the guys, it's one of the random.
Check your soup.
Oh,
check your super secret chat channel.
It's the guy. It's one of the dudes from Twister. That's who it is. One of those random guys that drives around. That's him.
Okay.
Car there.
Huh.
But yeah, that's how I remember who shot Alexander Hamilton. The milk commercial. Spoilers for the end of Hamilton, by the way.
Yeah, geez.
I don't know if it's in there. I haven't seen it.
Wow.
But historical fact, Aaron Burr shoots him. There you go.
Is it?
Yeah, yes, that's historical fact. It did happen.
Whatever.
Well, I've been ordered, mandated, if you will, by my wife to tell you about the updated continual use of the coffee sock apparatus. Right.
Ooh,
so
coffee sock.
The last time, if you remember, I just started using it. So it was to be determined if it was actually any useful or of any use or not. Right. I've been mandated by my wife to tell you that it's amazing. This is her words. She loves it very much. It does impart some sort of smoothness to the coffee. I don't know if it's because the filter is thicker or if it retains flavor because it's cloth. I don't really know the answer why, but it does seem to have like a mellower, overall smoother flavor to whatever coffees you put in there instead. So there you go. Coffee sock update. Yes, it's pretty good. So we'll see how the cleaning goes. That should probably be this weekend.
Okay. That was my next question.
Well, since I have two,
how have you been cleaning
I've just been rinsing them. So I used one the first week, and then I switched to the other one for this week. And then I'm going to, you're supposed to like boil them, clean them every couple weeks or whatever. So I'm just going to do that.
Sure.
this weekend, and then just rotate them like that. I think that's the plan. I don't know how well I'll stick to that plan or how long that will last, but that's kind of what you're supposed to do, I think. So we'll see. But I'm going to try that this weekend, is the cleaning of the filter. You're supposed to boil it in some water again. So there you go. But I was mandated that I must update. I know everyone is just waiting, bated breath, to know how the coffee suck goes. Other than that, my week has been pretty uneventful. I got a haircut. I mean, sure.
Oh, nice.
They went a little ham. My hair is very short right now.
How was it?
Really like, oh dear, what's going on here?
Oh no.
There was a different lady. The other lady was like not available. My girl was not available. Oh no. Sadness. Even though my text message confirmed says it was going to be with her. No. Duped. Was duped. So I got some other lady. She was very nice. But my hair is much too short.
Well, that's nice.
So it's fine. I got 2 weeks before I got to go back to work, so it'll go out a little bit. She did though.
You'll be fine.
Trim my beard some for me because my beard trimmers are broken. So
oh no,
did a good job on that. That was good. I was like, ooh, hey, all right. So she did good there. My hair's a little too short though, so I Susan said she likes it, but I'm like, whatever.
So you look,
yeah, right. I haven't had a haircut like for real since like winter. Okay.
Yeah.
Like in March, I was starting to be like, oh, I should probably think about going to get a haircut. And as we know, the world ended. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, and I'm just staying at my house forever. I don't really need to worry about hair. But since I have to go back to work in a couple weeks, I'm like, oh, I gotta do that again.
I'll be like, ah.
Yeah, right there.
Hello, mountain man.
I would have walked. My boss would have gone, what in the world?
Yeah.
Oh God, what is that? I'm like, listen, fine. It's okay. Fine. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm fine.
Don't worry about me. I'm okay.
My quarantine hair. Don't worry about it. Other than that, I went to the dentist. Always a pleasurable experience.
Oh. You're good at lying.
Yes. No, I mean, so like,
right.
going to the like the act of sitting there with your mouth open, your head craned back. Like, I always have a headache when I leave the dentist because you have to sit in such a weird way, you know. But the lady that's the dental hygienist that I see is like amazing. She's a fantastic person. So like all the people in the office are really just good, nice. You know what I mean? So it's like the reason that I don't like to go to the dentist isn't because of any of them. Right. They're fantastic people.
Okay. Good.
Right? The lady that does the dental hygienist lady, she's great. She's amazing, right? She's joking. We're laughing about all kinds of stuff. People are like walking in and looking at us like, what the heck's going on? Why is he so loud in there? Hey, I'm sorry. Can't help it. But just the way you have to like sit, you know, your neck like jam back and your mouth all open. I came home, it's like, oh, my head hurts. Plus, she was like jamming on my teeth, you know, because you kind of think like, I told her, I was like, I never realized before how much of my oral hygiene routine is dependent on like me going to work. Right? Because the whole routine of get up, have some breakfast, brush your teeth, get dressed, you know, do your thing, leave. When you don't go anywhere, the morning dental hygiene regimen kind of gets like thrown out the window a little bit. And she said the same thing. Oral hygienist said the same thing, that there were days when she was like, it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. She was like, I have to brush my teeth. Oh no.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But I told her like, I was like, yo, I'm sorry. But like, I told her that. I was like, it's very dependent on me doing stuff, apparently. Like,
yeah, it is. What you're about to see.
Yeah. She's like, it wasn't that bad. She's like, there's some coffee stains. Like, yeah, well, I mean, I've just been sitting at home forever. She's like, okay, fair. I was like,
90% of my water intake is coffee.
That's fair. I mean,
being honest,
maybe not 90, but a large part of it. Like, let me tell you about this coffee sock. No, I'm just kidding. We talked about many other things.
Oh no,
we talked about many other things.
The good news. Okay, good. Okay,
all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so she's fun. She's an enjoyable person. Some of the other people in there are really nice too. So it was good.
Yeah. Well, my week hasn't been fun. We've been insanely busy with dogs. I'm serious.
Really?
I know go back and listen to go back and listen to all the episodes. And I think the past 3-4 weeks, it has been nothing but me saying, this is the busiest week we've been. This is the busiest. It started with the 4th of July. July has literally been insane.
Wow.
Like today alone, we had 12 dogs passing through our house.
What? Why?
Yes. And 8 of them are staying overnight.
8?
I am currently sitting.
No.
I have on my right side, I have a male husky. On my left side, I have a female husky. Between my legs, I have a chihuahua. In the kitchen are 2 boxers, a lab, and a basset hound. And Kobe.
Field Marshal Kobe mustering the troops. As we learned a few episodes ago.
As we have learned,
Kobe is the real all-star of the pet sitting business.
He's the true workhorse. The true team member of all things.
The dachshund, awkwardly.
Monkey Punch Pet Care. It's like, ugh. So, yeah. And I mean, today was just literally insane. We bumped up to that many dogs and it's just been, but this whole week has been like that. This whole week. And even over the last weekend, this weekend's going to be crazy busy. And it's because, like, July was busy last year. But this July will be even busier for us. And it's because everyone spent the first half of the year cooped up, not traveling. They canceled all their plans, right? And now all of our clients are taking like not just 1 week-long vacation, but like 2.
It's not better out there, right? It's actually worse than it was in the spring.
They're all trying to travel now before things get locked down again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we tell them that they're
we before they travel, we meet them on our doorstep and we take their dogs in, and then after we travel, I meet them at their car and I hand them their dog.
There we go. Face shield, Tyvek suit. Like, here you go.
Just about. I mean, they ask. Some people will ask, do you want a face shield? Do you want me to stand here? Do you want me to stand there? Blah blah. And we're like, whatever.
Yes,
but
yes, I do.
Actually, just a minute on the dog front. Just a minute.
I heard that. There's some noise out there.
Yes.
Anyway, Aaron. Side note. He reminded me when I was working at summer school. One of my friends, one day, referred to me as Mr. Funkytown, and I stopped and I looked at her and was like, that's my brother's name, not me.
It was
a very weird moment. I was like, that's wrong. That's not me. That's Aaron. You know what you're doing.
Say wait,
the wrong nickname. Sorry.
No. Oh. I was gonna say, and then we've had a slight water leak in our in our tub upstairs in our faucet.
Into the tub or in the wall?
Into the tub.
Okay.
Into the tub.
Okay.
Like it's just coming out. And it started out real little, and I was like,
define small, please.
I should probably get on that. But of course, the annoying thing was that it was hot water leaking out. It wasn't just cold water.
Oh no, that's worse.
I know. You feel even, you're like, I'm losing water and electricity for this crap.
That's true. It's like, double. That water's costing me double.
So I think we've been so busy with dogs. Like I just haven't had an open time where I can schedule a plumber to come in and fix it. And I was really trying to get this to like Tuesday or Thursday of next week. Like I was really trying to do then because we start tailing off. But I mean, it was to the point where it was filling up a bucket in just a couple minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh no,
like it was coming out. It was coming out. So I was like,
that's not leaking. That's just still on. That's what that.
Yes, no, it totally is. It's pouring. It's pouring. It's not a leak. Today, it was like it's pouring. So I was calling plumbers, and they were like, "Well, we can't make it out till next week." And I was like, "Well, that would have been fine yesterday, but not today." So had actually my boss's husband is a handyman, plumber, carpenter, electrician kind of guy. He came out today, and he was like, "Oh, great, this will be fine. This is a newer one, so we just got to take these 2 screws and this thing, and we'll just slide out the cartridge, and we'll put it right back in." I was like, "Awesome."
Is it the little? Is it that the little knob that goes like left and right to turn on the shower and stuff?
Yeah, the center pivot
shower,
the one handle.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
okay.
And so he was like, "Great." He's like, "Because what I really don't want to have to do is drill in through your wall to get into the backside." And I was like, "Me too," because I have a small closet or the shelving unit with doors and stuff that they have bolted to the backside of the wall. So it goes shower head, wall, storage thing, and then there's a space, and that's where the toilet is. And so I was like, "Yeah, because I've got this thing attached to the wall, so we really don't want to do that. That would really suck." Well. An hour later, he has sawed off the handle because the little screw that's just supposed to be lightly held there had like sealed shut, and he couldn't get the handle off. He has
interesting.
He has bored out the 2 original screw holes because those were so corroded that they had fused as one piece. He got off the faceplate, and then when he was like, "There's just this one little ring here that I need to turn, and then we can take this off." And I was like, "Sweet, literally whatever you have to do." Well, he started cranking on that thing and cranking on it and cranking on it. No, he didn't break it because he was like, he actually came to me and he was like, "I can't get this off. And I can't turn any harder, otherwise, because then I'm going to snap your pipes, and you really will be without water." And I was like,
"Please don't do that."
Okay, please don't do that. Let's not. Good idea. So he was like, "You know what this means?" And I was like, "I'll start taking stuff out of the closet." So I moved everything out, and then he was like, "Look, I'm going to go," and because by this time it was like almost 5 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because he came in late because I called him and I was like, "Look, you either need," I was like, "You need to be here either," because he was like, "Yeah, I'm available anytime." I was like, "Okay, well, when I say anytime, I actually mean anytime before noon or after 2:30 because my kids are sleeping." And it's our upstairs bathroom. So he showed up after the kids were awake, and
they can help.
He's like, "I'll
fine.
be
get them in there."
No, they'll be sleeping. They're supposed to be sleeping.
No.
And he's like, He goes, "I'll show up first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll get this thing, the storage unit shelf thing." He was like, "I'm pretty sure there's just 4, maybe 5 screws that have this attached to the wall. Then we'll have to move it out, like muscle it out of the bathroom. And then he'll hack into my wall, just cut out the whole thing, and then replace it. And we'll shuffle the storage thing back and should be ready to go." So that's fun.
Yeah.
That was real fun.
So
we currently don't have the water on because
anywhere
he was right. The whole house was without because there's no shutoff valve at typically there are not shutoff valves at each one of those points.
Well, no,
right. It's not like at the sink or at the toilet where they put shutoff valve there. In my mind, why wouldn't you do that? This is something that gets replaced, is meant to be replaced. Why do they not install shutoff valves there? Please tell me.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably because
it doesn't make.
Well, partially, I think the reason is they're inside the wall and hard to access. Right.
Sure.
So to get to the shutoff valve, you would have to cut a hole in the wall. Sometimes, right?
Well, right. Or just I don't know, but like. I think there's a solution here.
Right? I think there should be. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
So because after he was really hammering on it and everything, like it is really, really leaking now. And I was like,
he's jarred loose, right?
I cannot have that. So at 7, I shut it off tonight, and I'll turn it back on tomorrow morning for our morning ablutions and whatever. And then I'll shut it back off. But I was just like, oh my gosh, is not what I want. And because tomorrow I was supposed to go into work so I could do a live webinar demo for my work team to show them some online learning tools. And so, unfortunately, Megan is going to have to be here helping him with all that because I can't get out of that. Yeah.
So, I bet she's excited.
She is. She's so happy. You talk about blissful marriage.
Man, plumbing is definitely her thing, right? Yeah. It's her favorite.
Yeah.
That's what she.
Yeah. No. In actually happier news, you guys can check the super secret chat channel. Super secret chat channel.
It's a text message. We can just say text message.
No, not as fancy.
Okay, fine. Okay.
What are you looking at?
You want me to watch this like right now while we're
watch what?
This video you just sent me?
From where?
I don't know. It's a YouTube video.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel.
Oh,
we started this YouTube channel.
Oh,
ta-da!
Hey, surprise! There we go.
Surprise!
So there we go.
As I was waiting for the gentleman to finish hacking away at my bathtub, I was like, well, I've got some time here that I need to be ready to, I can't be doing a whole lot right now. So I entered our information and there you go.
Wow.
Well, surprise. There we go,
Hey.
Aaron. Surprise.
It sounds like something I said earlier. Like, we should totally have a YouTube channel. Wow.
Yes, I believe it was bandied about before, but there was never like a thing. So there we go. There we go.
There you go. Ta-da.
Watch for Aaron in the comment section. There we go.
I will say, I literally know nothing about YouTube optimization or anything like that. So,
what about this Operation Screams optimized?
I think all of the the listeners
literally everything. There we go. Perfect. There.
Literally everything would see that is in our DNA. Non-optimization.
Optimization. It's our middle name.
Well, it's convenient because there's YouTube channels that talk about that. So, oh wow, subscribe.
No, I don't have time for that. If you look, I think if you look at my YouTube watch hours, like for as long as I've had an account with a Gmail account,
you can look at that.
Log in, I don't think you can. I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, it would probably be about 3. Like, I don't.
Mine would be about 3 billion.
Yeah, I figured. I just don't.
Well, a lot of times I'll like turn it on. And it's like, because I don't have TV in this little front room. So like, if I'm working on stuff or doing other things, sometimes I just turn it on to have something on.
That's,
you know what I mean? So like,
right. And I know many people who use that, or it's like, it's their radio, it's their TV, it's their podcast platform. Like that's just, they use it for everything.
True.
I don't. And so what we're going to be uploading are just basically long, full audiograms, full audio videos of our podcast with a static background and audio waveforms bouncing as we talk.
Oh, there we go.
That's what we're doing right now.
Fine.
If you guys want to, get some Logitech webcams and some ring lights, we can really blow it. We can really lean into it. But
okay, I don't know if my internet's ready for that, but. We'll put that on the pinboard for future endeavors. There we go.
Each of us get some, some red cameras and really just dive into it.
All right, put that on the list of things. Future upgrade options. Perfect. Now we can live stream it. Right, we have special live stream sessions.
I can do that right now. I can click a button. I can click on live. Go live on Facebook. Here we go. Do this.
I mean, that's. Okay, sure. Whatever.
Megan and I talk about that of like, would we ever do like a live thing? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like we record for an hour and a half and I edit it down to 20 minutes for a reason. It's just
but we totally could do one on here because Collin doesn't edit anything. He's just like, I'll just put a music break here and one there. Okay, that's it.
I try and edit out very long spaces. I also try.
I mean, that's true, but that's very few and far between. Let's be
very
real.
few, because
it's usually like at the very end of the episode, there'll be one that's like right before we're like, okay, I guess we're done now.
Yep, that's it.
That pause.
That pause.
Where we all collectively realize, oh, it's been an hour and a half. Okay.
We should probably cut this. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I do try and place the music breaks between like big topic shifts. I don't always hit them right, but that's usually my goal of like, where does the conversation shift to a new topic?
Also, sometimes it can be hard to tell. So that's
it. Would that's
fair.
which is why I try and take extensive notes, and then even then I'm like
wait, what?
Talked about what? Like looking here are my notes for last week. Collin has grounds in his coffee. Brandon's coffee sock. Coffee techniques and eating Mediterranean. Aaron likes the food. Aaron is trying new things. This could have been an email. Oklahoma tribal lands. Lack of understanding of modern history of Native Americans. Remember the treaties when oil pipelines come around. Science. Global caviar market. Talk corner. The stupid tomato in Lord of the Rings.
Ugh. True.
Just go lick some salt. Challenge. And then Twitter hack.
Oh yeah. See? That makes perfect sense. Obviously. All of that. I do that too, because you put them in that Google Doc, and sometimes I look at it on like later in the week, like Saturday, Sunday or something.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing and go, what? We did? We talked about that. So it's fine.
Oh man.
No problem. Well, but anyway, I believe that is the transition now to the challenge that was laid down this week. So did you all watch your Indian cinema?
Yes, I did.
Define watch. Like what? Not gonna lie, I did not do very well in this challenge.
Oh no!
I did not finish my movie, not even close.
Oh, man.
The one I picked was 3 hours long, it turns out.
All right.
And
I was going to mention that. So we'll start off there.
Start
off there before we get to Colin's failing. Yeah, so I thought this would be kind of fun because this is a market that I don't know anything about. Okay, the Indian cinema market is like one of the top 3 movie markets in the world, right? Usually by revenue, it's some order of the U.S., China, and India, right? But India pumps out like 1,800 films a year, something like that. It's something big number I read today. It's enormous, right? Yeah. I've seen none of them. 0. So before we got into this, I wanted to ask a question. Brief overview. Do you have any prior experience with any other foreign film markets that you have seen or at least dabbled in before?
I'll go. I went on a kick in the French films for a while, where I'd go in and try and find some pretty obscure ones. And Megan and I even went and saw 1 or 2 in theaters when they were on really small release.
Mm-hmm.
I liked them. I liked the tone that most of those had. Or at least maybe they're just the ones that were self-selecting for the U.S. market. I will say that.
That's fair. That's hard.
Right. True. But yeah, I always appreciated those. I always enjoy those. So I think that's a market that I've looked into, not extensively.
Oh yeah, so I said dabbled, right? Because I mean,
yes,
yeah. I'm just curious. What about? So is that the only one? French films?
Yes.
Okay, Aaron.
I mean, there's a few, like, for some reason I got into like Japanese films for like a little bit when I was in college.
What kind of Japanese?
I mean,
films,
they were like there was. There was the classics of the like 1950s Japanese films.
Okay.
And then I got into, I can't even remember some of the directors, but it was
like Kurosawa, like the big famous samurai, like Seven Samurai.
So
that kind of
I watched that one when I was younger.
It's a good
and
one.
And then there was, what was it? There was some like Japanese noir kind of films that was like there's some like Japanese like detective things, and then so I got into those a little bit. And then I watched some like Thai films, but I think it was just because of those are like the martial arts films. And then I got into, there's a Swedish director that did like, he always had to have like Swedish actors and in Scandinavian film sets and stuff like that, but I can't think of who that is. But I watched him like for like a summer, like I binge watched some of his movies, and then I was like, well, I'm done. But other than that, that's other been like there has been a few of those times where I've seen again in the bowels of FaceTube of like click on a video and just like scroll, and then always for some reason there's always been like a scene from a Bollywood film, again with like no context, like nothing, and it's just like, here's a Bollywood scene, blah. So I was kind of befuddled by those, and like, what am I watching? What is this kind of thing? So there's been a few times where I've watched a lot of those, but again, they were only just like scenes at a time.
Okay, yeah, that's what. Nice. So I have watched. I have definitely dabbled in some like French new wave cinema from the late 50s and early 60s.
Yeah.
A little bit. If you want some just depressing movies, there you go. Yes. You can watch like The 400 Blows or something like that and just be like, I'm sad on an existential level.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Right? So I've watched some of those and some other like more modern French films. A lot of the ones that I watch are like action movie oriented. Okay, so like that's kind of my gateway into a lot of these markets is like action movies. Everyone's favorite French language film also is The Brotherhood of the Wolf. Clearly,
yeah,
everyone loves that one.
It's a good one. The one I distinctly remember is probably one of the more recent ones I've seen is Amour.
Ooh,
it's a love story.
One.
Yeah. No, it is really good. A couple in their 80s going through kind of the last period of their life, and it is really tough to watch. Talking about dark, kind of this very gloomy kind of atmosphere as this older husband and his older wife struggle with dementia and these kind of last few moments that they have together in their last remaining years. That was one of the first movies that Megan watched right after we got married. And it was
not a good time for that.
It's not. It really wasn't.
Yeah. So like I'm familiar with some like Luc Besson, the French action director, right? I've seen like Leon the Professional, but like in French, right, with Jean Reno and some of those things. District B13, one of my favorite French action movies.
Yeah.
The movie's great. Okay, movie's fantastic. So that I like English movies, some like weird English comedies. Like I don't really get all of them. I've seen some.
I don't think we're supposed to.
I don't think anybody actually gets them. Maybe, except for like Monty Python, like that. Outside of that, other markets definitely have a strong fondness for spaghetti westerns.
Yes.
So, like, even outside of Sergio Leone, the famous Dollars trilogy, right? I have watched lots of other really bizarre Italian Western movies. They can get really weird, right? Lee Van Cleef is always amazing, no matter what. But some of the movies are like, excuse me, what's happening? Right? So, like Django, that's a really good one. It's another famous one. Like, lots of really good movies there. And then as far as like Asian cinema, it's mostly centered around China. So I've seen lots of Chinese movies, but they're not like recent Chinese releases. A lot of them are older, and a lot of them tend to be like period dramas.
Yeah,
that's a big thing in China, right? So like, I don't like. I mean, obviously, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, everyone's favorite, but so Hong Kong, Chinese cinema, and then specifically subgenre like Hong Kong action movies from like I don't know, usually the late 80s, early 90s, like John Woo, Chow Yun-fat, Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, those guys. That Hong Kong cinema, I love it. Oh, I love that stuff so much. Like there's like martial arts or action movies that come out of Hong Kong. Those directors and actors, those are my favorite action movies like ever. They're just so good.
There was a few.
Like, I just love
a few movies that kind of with the period pieces with China. One of the movies I really enjoyed. It's like 4 hours long, but it's called Red Cliff. And kind of talking about the creation of like the Chinese fleet, like through the rivers and stuff. And then there was a Netflix series that I watched, and it's called The Empire or the Kingdom, but it's about Korean history when the Mongols invaded Korea, but it has a zombie twist to it.
Yeah, I think you talked about that before. Yeah,
and I really got into like Korean like films and Korean directors. I couldn't find much with the resources I had, but
yeah, I think I've only seen like one Korean film, so I don't really have that on my list. But like, well, I do have a pretty good DVD collection of like Chinese movies. I don't know if they're still. I don't remember what it's called. Dragon Dynasty there was a company called Dragon Dynasty used to like release them in these kind of like the Criterion collection, but for like Chinese cinema, right?
Sure.
So there's like all these like Jet Li movies and like this is really good, right? It's like I've seen like a bunch of the Ip Mans and everyone's like lots of some of the older like the 70s kung fu movies, right? Those are pretty excellent too, and like or like the early Jackie Chan stuff, like Snake and Crane or like Snake and the Eagle Shadow or whatever, like some of that like really weird stuff, or the original Drunken Master.
Yes.
And then of course The Legend of Drunken Master, which is just I love that movie. One of those guilty movies you're like, this movie's not good. I don't care. I love it so much. And a whole bunch of other random ones like Seven Swordsmen, and there's one really interesting one about like supernatural stuff. I don't know. There's one that's like a play on Romeo and Juliet, but it's all weird and so anyway. And then, like Aaron said, a very small subset of Thai movies, but those are mostly starring Tony Jaa, the martial artist.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And are named Ong Bak Thai Warrior. And like, so again, mine are action movie oriented, but there are some other dramas and period pieces in there that I've seen too. So I have some experience, but again, there's this gaping hole that is Indian cinema that I have never seen, except for like Aaron said, like I saw one scene one time and was like, what is happening going on here?
Right.
I was just curious because I know that Amazon had recently got a whole bunch of them to put on there. So I wanted to watch some. Okay. And I want to start by saying this. I never realized this before, but in my opinion, Amazon is definitely not a friendly place if you just want to browse around and look for random things to watch. Okay. It's awful. Okay. It is not built for looking for stuff randomly. It is built, in my opinion, for you already knowing what you want to watch and keying it in and finding it. Right?
Why do you say that?
Well, because the browsing experience is not pleasurable. Partially because the foreign film section in Amazon is like hidden. It's like buried. So if you just want to browse the foreign section, right? If you're interested in any of these foreign movies, or you want to, lots of them are Indian, but there are other ones on there too. If you just want to like look around, you can barely even find it. It's like you have to scroll for days. And even on that little thing that's like, oh, here's these types, it's like action, Western, but the foreign film section isn't even there. It's somewhere else. You just have to go all the way down to the bottom, like forever,
right?
Try to find it. And I believe, like, I don't know why there's not, like, at the top where it's like categories, movies. Okay, I don't know why there's not another button right there that just goes most popular, horror, Western, comedy, drama, foreign. Why does that button not exist? What in the world is the matter with you? Like, why? So, if you are interested in finding the foreign film section on Amazon, just to look around, it is good luck finding it. That's the way. Because I didn't look up first, right? I didn't look up, like, best Indian language films on Amazon and then, like, find one and then type it in. I just went to browse and look around, and it took me forever to find them. So, like,
well, yeah, and on that, like, they don't even have, I don't believe, or at least I didn't find it, a way of breaking out for subgenre. So you go to Bollywood, even then,
no. Bollywood is one of the subgenres. It's like action, comedy, drama, Bollywood, which is weird because, like, in the Bollywood, Bollywood just means, I learned this, Bollywood is only specific to films coming out of Mumbai.
Oh,
Mumbai film industry, right? So the Hindi, there's like different centers of cinema all over India, right? The biggest one is the Bollywood in Mumbai. But there's like the Tamil language films and all these other ones from kind of all like films come out of New Delhi or Calcutta over on the other coast. So, like, it's kind of very spread out. So I learned this week that Bollywood is it's one very specific area of the film that are most likely in a Hindi language, because there's other ones are in different languages, because there's like 20 bazillion languages spoken in India.
Right. So even on that, the search just immediately lumps everything from India. Yeah. It's got to be Bollywood, right? That's what they do, and you can't break it out by more specifics or even genres within that. You can't look at the romances, comedies, action.
Yeah, you have to like mouse over them to see what the movie is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that search function is rough. Amazon, what are you doing? That's terrible. You need to be able to refine your search more than once. Maybe you can. Maybe I messed up. Maybe you can click more than one of those buttons. Maybe you can click like Bollywood and drama at the same time. I could have done it wrong. That's always a possibility. Remember, I could have always messed up. That's definitely a thing that can happen. But yeah, searching on there is hard unless you know what you want to watch already. So, one caveat there, listeners. If you just want to browse around, tricksy, but do I have some suggestions for you if you just want to type in? So
on that, I'm curious. What was your all's modus operandi going in to try and find a movie? What did you do?
So I just wanted to find something that was like that looked kind of familiar, right? So I was thinking like, okay, I also want it to be kind of like an action-y kind of movie, because that's my gateway, right? So a lot of these other things have been like action movies. So I wanted to find like something that was also kind of an action movie to kind of give me something familiar. So I would already have a starting point, right?
Sure.
That's what I was kind of looking for. And there's lots of those on there. But that's what I was looking for to start off. What about you?
So I basically, mine was, I wanted to I was trying to go for truly random in finding, but then I was like, well, I don't know what that is though, because
because I have no basis.
I have no basis, and a lot of the stuff on like the main list, some of those were older, from some of those from the 70s, and I was like, oh,
that's true. I did not pick any old ones.
So I ruled those out just because, well, I don't want to watch something that's just completely
like out of
my realm of understanding or whatever. So I basically hit the main list, let it load for a while, and then scrolled really quickly on my phone and put my thumb down randomly and picked whatever that one was.
Nice.
Yes.
What about you, Aaron? What did you do?
I knew kind of with some of the things that I've seen or read about, there's, when they say like over the top Bollywood films, they're like extremely like over the top. And with my first Bollywood film, I didn't want anything like that because I didn't want to
a tamer.
Yeah, I wanted something that's a little more calm, a little more kind of laid back. But every film that I had was just like, we're not over the top, but are we? Surprise! So I kind of had to play around with some of my ideas. I kind of went back to some of my old faithful of, something that's a little bit slower, something that's definitely, a period piece of some sort. So that way I can kind of, put history to action and then just see how it's kind of interpreted. And I wasn't disappointed with my pick. I was still like, what am I watching? But it was a good pick. Apparently the reviews and critics did not think so, but yeah, what do they know? And
I mean, yeah, it's fine.
So for me again, yeah, it was like, all right,
you're the critic now.
What am I comfortable with? What, how can I, slowly get myself involved in something like this, and then just kind of go from there and see what happens.
Yeah, that's similar to what I did. I wanted to like kind of dip my toe in, like have one foot in the new, but one foot in something sort of familiar, so I'd have a reference.
Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't just totally like, what's happening? What's going on? Right. So I didn't want to pick like, like a romance or something because I don't watch those anyway. Yeah. So I have nothing to compare a Hindi movie to, really. Right. Like I don't have a strong base to be like, oh, this is like this. I have nothing to compare it to, so it'd be bad. So I picked some like action movies to start with. Spoilers, I watched at least 4 of these things because, man, I got in. I'll just tell you that right now. I'm in, dude. It's so good. Oh my gosh. So like, so I'll share the rest of those later. But yeah, I started with the one, and then I went from there. I was like, okay. Let me try that. So I went in all in. I mean, again, you guys are doing stuff. I'm not doing anything right now, so I had a little more time on my hands to watch these. That Collin did bring up another point though. Some of these are scary because the runtime on some of these movies is it seems to me they're just so long.
Yes.
Right. I mean, a lot of these are 2.5 hour plus movies. Right. Not all of them. I found a couple shorter ones, but like some of them are like, oh my god, what?
Yeah,
why?
Yeah. Mine was 2 hours and 48 minutes long.
And the first one I watched was definitely it was 2 hours and 38 minutes. I wrote that down specifically because I was like, what? Why?
How long was mine?
Yeah, so I set aside some time to watch, and then when I saw that, I was like, I goofed.
Yeah, one of the movies I definitely like paused it for a while, and went and did some other stuff, like made some lunch, did some laundry, walked the dog, and then I came back and watched it later. But like, I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Oh, so who wants to go first? Looks like me. Here we go. I'll go with my first one, and I'll come back around.
Well, okay.
Is that fair?
Mine's short, so
that's true. Maybe Collin should go first. Collin.
Well, actually, I don't have the information pulled up, so hold on. I'm not prepared.
I will.
Sorry, teacher.
First.
Okay.
So mine was called Panipat. Panipat. And then
I think I saw that one.
I'll kind of go through the movie itself, and then so historically wise, this is a movie supposed to be about the 1761 Afghan invasion of India, or at the time was called Hindustan.
Yes,
and So that's what the movie is about. It's 2 hours and 51 minutes. It came out in 2019. It has a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is actually not too bad. It's a very colorful and very vibrant movie. Like, it's an Indian culture, and it's like, oh wow, it's very bright. There are 3 random songs. One at the 16-minute mark. The second song is at the 47-minute mark, and then the third and final song is at the I think it's 2 hour. Oh, it's 1 hour and 44 minutes. We finally get the third song. Basically, it's about this guy who the Hindu army. It's all in Hindi, by the way. So trying to remember the names of some characters is a little wonky, but it kind of it starts after the Mughal Empire falls and the Maratha Empire is kind of on the rise, and there's a big battle one at the beginning. It's not like an over the top like fantasy kind of period film. It's actually like, trying to do it justice, but that was a lot of the criticism of the film. It's like, well, it's making light of one of the most important things or time periods of Indian history. And so this guy wins a battle. He's favorited over some of the other generals. Some people are jealous. He's like the cousin of the emperor or something. His name in the movie is Shadashiv Rayobol, who is played by Indian actor Arjun Kapoor. And there's a weird love interest kind of thing, and the emperor's wife, who I call what's called Lori-ism. If you ever watch or read any of the Walking Dead series, Lori, the wife of Rick, is always like, man, I want to mess things up because I can. And the emperor's wife is kind of like, man, I want to mess things up because plot reasons. And
yes, plot reasons.
And so it kind of goes through, and it's like, oh, we need to collect taxes, and like, oh no, they're mad at us for collecting taxes. And then some of the smaller kingdoms in Hindustan go to the emperor of in the movie they called it Afghanistan, but historically wise, it's called the Durrani Empire. And they're like, help us. And he's like, okay, I'll do this. But it's a very typical, like, oh, that's clearly the bad guy kind of person. But his introduction to the movie is like someone trying to assassinate him. And it's very like, there's a lot of things that you think you expect, but you don't expect it. And the next like good chunk of the film is, them, oh, we need this person to join our side. He won't join us. Oh, look, he totally joined us. And then see your second song, 40 minutes. Oh, we have a problem. Oh, look, the problem solved. Another song, and then it takes like a weird, like, it's kind of all fun and delightful throughout the whole film. They're winning support. The guy is marching north. They captured Delhi from the Afghan army. Bunch of people are betrayed, and then historically wise, they have this battle at this town called Pinyapat, and it's like building up and like, oh wow, the hero's gonna win. No, everyone dies. And it's just like, that's it. All these people that you've been with this entire film that are the good guy and like his cousins and the other generals, and it's like, oh wow, this is a very historic moment. And then now people start dying.
There you go.
And then
a surprise Last Stand movie. There you go.
Well, like it's the only battle in this entire 3-hour-long movie. There's no other fighting. It's politics. He won't join. I'll make him join. Oh, look, he joined. And then song and dance. Like I said, it's very, cinematically, given with the resources, it's actually it looks really appealing, and then just boom, everyone dies. The Afghan army like wins, but it's like, you are courageous, and you do all this, and so I'm just going to leave now. And it's like, what? It's definitely a movie that if I didn't have to, if I with this challenge, if I just found it on I think I watched it on Netflix, I would have been like, oh, okay, I would have sat down and watched this anyway, and I would have been hooked. And then, you kind of get emotionally drawn into it with like, oh, I'm going to bring my wife on campaign. Like, well, why did you do that? And then, oh, that's the reason why you did this. And then, boom, everyone dies. And then it just kind of ends. And then I spent like another hour trying to look up the historical significance of it, with the Martha Empire, the Mughal Empire on the decline, Ahmad Shah Abdali, which is the Afghan emperor, who is actually a very big historical figure in Middle Eastern culture. He plays, a big part in all of this, and even though India does lose the fight, it's actually apparently supposed to be one of the big growths of India. And then I found out that there was 2 other battles fought at the same place back in like the 1500s, and so it made research even more confusing. From some of the critics, it does say 3 out of 5 throws light on an important chapter of Indian history, with the battle scenes. Another person says 3 out of 5 stars. The film was great effort by the director and deserves to be watched for some impeccable performances and adrenaline pumping action, which some of the fight scenes are a little over the top. Like the guy at the end, like dual wields spears and like jumps off an elephant and is like, ah! So it's like, whoa, that's
Sweet.
a little hectic. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Shelby enjoyed it. Some of her comments at the end was, oh, this is BS. Wanting to throw a pillow at the TV. Kind of thing. Like, well, why did everyone die? And then the last song is very like upbeat and cheerful, and you're just like, I don't the what? And then kind of reading back through the history, as like, oh, the history is a little darker, so I kind of understand why they made it a little bit more, delightful and cheerful. And then they had to throw some of the Bollywood themes in it, to where here's a song and dance, and here's another song and dance, because the reasons. But like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you guys ever get, if you ever have 3 to 4 hours to waste, I would definitely recommend watching this film, because it's very cliche movie wise. Apparently it did not do well at the box office. It had a budget of I don't know what crore are, CRORE.
I don't either.
Yeah. So it had 92. I don't know if that's like million crore, but it only made like 49.29 at the box office. So it was technically a box office flop. But I mean, everything that I read was like, nah, it's not a bad movie. It's not great, but it's not bad.
A lot of that stuff too, it kind of it's like the US box office. Like sometimes the movies, it's okay, but something else came out at the same time, and everyone went to see that instead.
And I don't know, like, if there was a movie that came out during that as well, but of just kind of, everyone went to go see that instead of this. But
that, sometimes that happens. Like it, because there's some like US movies that were technically box office flops, but they're actually really good and people like them. Yeah. But they just all went to go watch
something else.
Something else instead. So,
but yeah, I really, from all the stuff that I read, it was very, historically wise, it was very, definitely not action wise historically accurate, but it was just a neat little film. It was pretty cool. It was pretty neat. So I'll give it out of 5 stars. I'll give it a neat. So
a neat. All right, neat out of 5. I like it. Well, I'm going to do some of mine, and then we'll jump to Collin, and then I'll come back and round up some other recommendations that I have for you.
Sure,
but,
that's fine.
So, the first one that I watched.
Oh, real quick. Sorry, I don't mean to. I'm going to let you finish. But Aaron mentioned the box office thing.
Yeah.
I am staggered at the sheer exponential difference between U.S. box office expenditure on, not expenditure, but not a box office, but like amount spent on movies to Bollywood films.
Oh yeah.
If you just look at like the number one, I looked this up. I had to look this up because I wasn't sure, but or was it like the most expensive U.S. film was like it was pretty recent. It was like $349 million to make. And the number one most expensive film coming out of the Indian movie market was only like 49 million.
Oh,
yeah. There, some of them you can tell that it's cheaper,
and I don't. That's not a drag on anything.
It's also to say how overinflated the U.S. market. Because sometimes I watch
that.
Sometimes I watch U.S. movies and they're like, "Oh, this movie spent this much money," and I go, "Where? Where did they spend it?" Because
right. Exactly. And I think this is just a more general comment of that just triggered that in my brain when Aaron was talking about box office stuff of like, right, like so much more money is spent, but I don't think it's that much more awesome.
Yeah, there is a law of diminishing returns, right? Like if you spend like X more $1 million, you're not getting a X time better movie.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's not that's a good point to bring up.
Sorry, I'll let you. You can.
That's fine. That's a good point. I'm glad you interjected that. That was good. That is something I would like to say too, because there were times in these movies where they would talk about like money, or they would talk about other things, and you have that moment of, I don't know.
Yeah.
What? So I still don't know about how much money these are in some things, but anyway. So like I said, I wanted to watch like an action-y movie. So I just scroll down, and the first one on the list, basically, the tagline was something like this: a police officer goes on a chase to hunt down a long-dreaded gangster to fulfill his own secret agenda. So I was like, okay, yes,
sign me up.
That. And that's how I watched Darbar. And let me tell you, what the actual heck is this movie? Okay. For some clarification that I'm just going to go ahead and start with, I looked up after because I was like, what? This movie basically seems to have, the main actor is a guy named Rajani. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of these. I'm going to mispronounce all of them. Let's just assume that. But the main character is a guy named Rajani, and he is apparently like a big deal. Right. He's like a hyper famous actor. All right. This is a Tamil language movie, by the way. He's like a huge actor. He's been a huge actor he's guy's almost 70 years old. Okay. Basically, this movie was made for fans of him. I think. Because this movie, let's face it, it's not good. All right. This movie is not, I would not call this movie good at all. I read later that oftentimes a typical feature of Hindi movies is they often have these big tone changes, like Aaron was talking about. Sometimes it can be like really upbeat. Other kinds, it can be very dour. Oftentimes there's a reason for this shit. This movie, there's no reason at all. Like tone, just I wrote in my notes, I actually wrote, what the heck is the tone of this movie? Because just like randomly, it's like different. You're like, what's happening? What's going on? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
So like, it's about this guy. He's a cop. He's a policeman, and he gets sent to Mumbai to help like clean up crime. Okay, clearly, in this director's eyes, all the crime in all of Mumbai is just one guy. Okay, so all drugs and all like what's the word I'm looking for? All drugs and all like human trafficking is one person. So clearly you just have to bust that guy. And then all crime is solved. You've solved all of it. It's all done. Perfect. Right?
That's nice.
That's the world.
That makes a nice plot point.
That's the fantasy world this movie lives in. Also, apparently, what's happened in this movie, one of the reasons I was so confused is we start out, it does that thing where you start out on a timeline, and then at some point, you go back in time and you play everything up till that spot. There's zero indication of when that moment where you jump back in time happens.
Oh.
Like none. So they're talking about this stuff, and then like all of a sudden we're doing the thing and this person's there, and I'm like, what? But you said what? What? No sense. Right. This movie has a couple song numbers. They come out of absolutely nowhere.
Yes.
And all of the song and like the dancing is all about like this guy and how awesome he is. That's kind of what it is, right? He's like a super cop in the movie. So the song's about like how incredibly bad to the bone he is and like how amazing, how great his hair is, right? How stylish he is, how strong he is. That's what the song's about. It just like shows up. So this movie has a target audience of this guy and his fans. Again, his name is Rajani. He's very charismatic though. Like he leans into it and you can tell he's a pretty good actor, but the movie is written badly.
Oh no.
Right. It's not his fault that this movie is not good because he is hard carrying this thing, man. You can tell. Like he's going for it. Dude's almost 70. He's playing a guy that's like in his mid 40s. Right. Oh, he's rocking it. He's doing good. You know, there's these like hyper cheesy, like slow-mo action scenes where he's like stabbing dudes and like moonwalking over and then like punching somebody in the face. It's hilarious. Right. But the writing is bad. There's whole storylines that just sort of like disappear. And you're like, but what? Where did that go? That was a huge thing. And then you don't hear about it anymore. You're like, what? Because like he's in luck. He's like into this girl, right? But she's like way younger than him. And there's like a whole thing where his family or her family is like concerned because he's, you know, I think in movie terms, he's, you know, I don't know how old he's supposed to be in his late 40s, I guess. So she might be in her late 20s. I'm not real sure. So there's, you know, a pretty good age gap and they're worried and he's a cop and then like it just stops. Like she just kind of goes away. You don't hear from her anymore. You're like, what? Oh, what the heck's going on? What happened to Lily?
The thing?
Yeah, what happened to this lady? There's a whole thing about like he's super bad to the bone, but he's like really nervous to talk to this girl because she's all pretty, you know. And he stutters so badly she thinks he's speaking Urdu, and that's the joke. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak Urdu," and he's like, "No, like." Because he's stammering because she's so gorgeous that he can't speak to her, and it's really so that's a pretty funny spot, right? Like,
sure,
but like that whole thing just goes away later when we get to like the main bad guy. We figure out who the main bad guy is. We just go after him like all the way, and you're like, but what happened to the lady, and then that other thing, and then the cops? What is happening? Because it does that whole thing where he goes like rogue because this tragedy happens. He goes all crazy, and the cops are all like, the higher ups are like, "You're pulled off the force, buddy." But all the other cops are like,
"Your badge and your gun."
Kinda. All the other cops are like, "We're with you, sir. We believe in you." And he comes out with his hair all done, his shades on. He like struts out of the thing, you know. After he has his like empowering moment where he does this thing. I don't want to spoil it too much, but. In case anybody does want to watch this bizarre creation, he comes out to save the day, right? So it's this movie's 2.5. I wrote at one point I have underlined in my notes, this is only half over. I have. Yeah, and here's what the heck is the tone of this movie in my summary notes here. But yeah, it's way too long. All this time, since we have this unresolved plot line with this love interest, this movie could have been about 45 minutes shorter, probably, maybe 50, if we were like focused. Because like the songs and stuff are cool, but they really serve no plot purpose because we don't even get a resolution to this whole thing. But basically, what I read was it's about him being a big famous actor, and people that like him will definitely like this movie because he is on for this whole movie. Dude is on, right?
Pandering to his fans.
Man, he has got it. He's apparently this is the first movie where he's had his shirt off in years. He's like doing there's a training montage because they do that thing where you're like, well, sir, if you can pass this test, we'll reinstate you into the force.
Oh, sure.
So it's like training montage where he's like lifting weights in the gym, and all that stuff. Like lots of these tropes from American movies definitely translate to Indian cinema because they're there, like hardcore. You're like, what? But there's some times where like all of a sudden this guy who we think is a bad guy just like calls up his daughter and is talking to her. And you're like, but why are you? How do you have the? What in the world is happening right now? How does this work? I don't understand. It was a very confusing movie. Also, side note, one thing that something triggered in my brain, right? I have knowledge of this from somewhere. I don't know from where it has come, but this movie came out in January of this year. That's important to this. At some point in the past, I remember reading an article about Indian cinema being concerned about all the smoking in the movies, right?
I do this, yes.
And so, like,
this is you're not wrong.
I've read something about that this movie triggered that in my brain because at the beginning there's a big thing, like before the pre-credits start. There's a big thing, right? Like smoking is bad for you, it causes cancer, blah blah blah. It's read in a child's voice to really get you, right?
Oh my gosh!
Every time someone in this movie is smoking, that warning pops in the bottom of the left corner of the screen.
Seriously?
Yeah. Every time somebody is smoking on screen, this little thing in the bottom corner flashes up. And the first time, like anytime there's a cigarette on screen. So the first time I saw it, I was like, what the heck was that? Because it was just like a panning shot. And I didn't even notice it. I was like, what was that? The next couple scenes or a couple minutes later, you go back and it's a conversation between two people and one of them is smoking a cigar. And the whole time that guy's on screen, in the bottom left-hand corner is that little logo, like the smoking is bad logo is on screen in the bottom left. Like boom. And then when that's off screen, it goes away. And when it comes back, boom, it's there again. So it's very
wow.
I thought that was kind of neat, right? It's interesting that that's how they're doing that. But I seem to remember hearing about that at some point. And then I think my brain like forgot it. I put it out of my mind. But when I saw that, it triggered that memory that I had read something like that. And I was like, oh, sure. Right. Got it. So yeah, anyway, Darbar. No, don't watch Darbar. It's weird. It's silly. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's really not written particularly well, right? However, if you want to watch a Hindi action movie with cops in it, you should definitely watch Mardani. Okay. I had to watch something else. I watched that and I was like, this can't be what it's all about. This movie's ridiculous. I don't understand. After I watched Darbar, I was like, what? What is this? So I looked up something else, right? To watch this movie. The second movie I watched was much shorter. It's like an hour and 50 minutes or something.
Oh.
This movie is fantastic, right? This movie, I'll be brief here, but the tagline is a police officer's search for a missing teenage girl leads her to the depraved world of child trafficking.
Oh.
What follows is a cat and mouse game between the officer and the mafia kingpin. Yo. This movie's definitely rated 18 plus. So don't watch with your kids. But this movie is great. Think like Taken, Man on Fire vibes.
Ooh,
right?
Okay.
But the head police inspector is a lady. This is my new international film crush, by the way. Her name is Rani Mukhari. She is amazing, right? She is so good in this movie. It's so fantastic. She's the head police inspector, and the girl that goes missing is like a street kid, but it's her friends with her niece, and she has this connection with this girl, and she kind of like is taking her under her wing, and she looks after her, and she keeps track of her and stuff. And then she goes missing. She gets kidnapped. Into kidnapping and child trafficking, big themes in Indian cinema, by the way, I've noticed. So she goes she starts leading the investigation to go all out to find this girl because she knows what's happened to her, right? She knows she's been kidnapped to be trafficked and all this stuff. And this movie is great. It's so good, right? She's so bad to the bone in this movie, like tracking these people down. The way that she has these phone calls with the bad guy because he's like, "You're not going to find me, but kill you." And she's like, "Try it, punk. See what happens." Like, you're like, "Oh, snap, get him!" Right? It's very good, right? Highly, highly recommend Mardani. There's a sequel which I'm going to be watching later, but like, right? They try to do stuff like they try to like shame her husband, right? To try to because they know the syndicate knows that she's taking it real hyper seriously, so they like try to shame him in a weird thing that I only vaguely understood because there's a whole scene where like the crowds, when there's like big groups of mob rule kind of takes over, and you hear about that stuff in Indy sometimes where they do that, and I don't really understand the context or anything. So that scene was very weird. But he's like a doctor, and they like shame him publicly. They like spread lies about him to discredit and dishonor him. But she kind of goes kind of off the beat path. She goes rogue a little bit to try to find these girls, and her search for finding this one girl, she ends up finding like tons of them that have been trafficked to these like that scene in Taken where they're like auctioning off the girls on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically that, right? It's that kind of party, and there's like high level ministers and people in the government that are there. She infiltrates it and yo, movie is great. So if you want to watch an Indian action movie, Mardani is the one to watch.
That's the one.
Plus, again, Rani Mukhari. Man, she's great. I love this lady. She is amazing. So good. Okay. There's my small foray. I got 2 more recommendations for you coming up after Collin. I'll be short. Sure. I'll be brief with them though. I'll be short.
Okay, sure. Well, mine will also be short. Mine was Rob Nabana Di Jodi, which translates to A Match Made by God. I made it past the second panning shot before I realized just how long this was and how little time I actually had to watch this, and I pressed pause. So I will say that the opening 30 seconds was awesome and very pretty, and I realized that I was going to have a hard time connecting with this because it was panning shots of like, this is where you are, this is where the story's taking place. And in my head, I was like, I have no idea where any of these things are or what those words say. So it was in that case, it was very much like watching like a fiction film of like, this is just a made up place.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any connection to this building. It looks really important. This shot looks like it was shot during a like a religious pilgrimage. So obviously this means something to some people, but I don't. And so I didn't get into this movie really. The main characters did step off of the train. And then I was like, I need to dedicate more time to this than I currently have allotted in my schedule. But I will say that I did go and read this plot summary afterwards. Arranged marriage because of certain circumstances. Beautiful lady, not so good looking guy. She's very outgoing. He's very not. She gets bored of being a housewife, so she wants to go do these dancing lessons. And the husband realizes that she's attracted to like these big, gregarious, outgoing, strong looking men. So almost like a superhero, he puts on a facade and becomes a different character and does all this dancing kind of in disguise.
Yeah.
And she falls more in love with him. And then she starts reminiscing about, towards the end of it, that's, all those escapades.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of it, she starts realizing that she actually does love her husband because he's strong in quiet ways. And so the final dance competition where they're supposed to dance together, he shows up as her husband and not as the character he's been playing the whole film. And, you know, right. So he shows up as who she wants to be, because on the side, he realizes that he needs to be true to himself and that he just needs to be him. And so kind of like they both arrive at the same conclusion and live happily ever after.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
So I will say, again, the big takeaway for me was just how much work I was going to have to do because I had no connection to anything that they were showing me.
Yeah.
And I was worried about not being able to enjoy it in that context.
Mm-hmm.
Because it did seem like they were setting up like again, those big panning shots where movies will do of like, you are in New York. Look, everything. Look, this looks like New York.
Yeah, that's
look at
true.
These shops that look like New York. And here we're going to zoom in on this train station that you know really well.
Well, that's also true because that happened in some of the movies I watched. They'd be like, this is Mumbai. Like, this is New Delhi. And I'm like, okay, I have to take your word for it because I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
There were some shots that I was like, oh, that's a monument that I'm pretty sure I've seen before. So that makes some sense. But like, yeah, there's any like minor things like that. You're like, don't know.
Right. And again, it made it of just that going, okay, like there is obviously, I'm going to watch this. I promise I'm going to finish this. I'm going to do this challenge where I'm going to enjoy it on one level, knowing full well that there are thousands of years of history that I'm not going to be able to enjoy this movie on. Just, not to say that the movie is about that history, but all the history leads up to this movie being produced in 2008, right? So
it's fair.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Well, if you don't want that one, Collin,
lightning round.
I got some more for you. I did watch one briefly. I watched it. It's called Siddharth. This movie is gut-wrenching. This is about another apparently child kidnapping, huge problem again in India. Like Mardani, the whole end credits was talking about it. This movie is all about a kid that gets kidnapped and his dad trying to find him.
Oh, I saw that because I thought something like that.
Watch that movie. Some Kleenexes ready. It's rough, right? It's very rough. It's good. It's good, but you're like, oh my gosh, because it's all about this like poor family. It lives in, I can't remember where they live right now. I didn't write this one down, but excuse me. Yeah, this is poor family, and their son goes missing, and it's just the dad kind of having this crisis of like, oh man, maybe I was not a good parent at all because I was only, I did love my son, but I never told him I loved him. Now he's missing, and what can I do to find him? And I can't travel because I had no money and all this. Yo. That one's rough. So if you want like a hard drama, watch that one. If, however, you want to connect with Hindi or Bollywood movies through sports, I got a couple more for you. Right?
Okay.
I watched one today, actually. It's called Chak De India. Yo, this movie is excellent. It's about this guy. The guy in the movie's name is Kabir Khan. He was the captain of the men's field hockey team. Okay, so this movie's all about field hockey. So you get to learn about field hockey. That's interesting. Or you get to watch a lot of it. They lose like the World Cup final, and everybody blames him. Partially because they lose the World Cup final in men's field hockey to Pakistan. Uh-oh. So everyone blames him, right? Because that history is relatively recent. India, Pakistan, no, not friends, right? So they lose to Pakistan. He is disgraced. He leaves the team. Cut to 7 years later, they need someone to coach the Indian national women's field hockey team. And no one will do it. Out steps Kabir Khan. He wants to redeem himself and his disgrace to his country that he loves. Everyone blamed him for like selling out to Pakistan, like being bribed. Like, oh, you just, you should go to Pakistan then because no, you're a traitor to India because you lost to them on purpose. He wants to redeem himself. Right?
Yeah.
And he kind of gets this group of ragtag people from the best field hockey players from all over India. And he's got to try to get them to come together as a team because they're all very like state oriented and they're just very proud of their town and they don't really care about India. So he's trying to teach them to become a team, to be, unite under the Indian flag and try to be like a team, right? So it has these like Mighty Ducks vibes. Not quite as funny as that. There are some pretty hilarious parts in this movie. But it deals with, it's not only that, the kind of discrimination against like Pakistan. It's a women's field hockey team, so automatically no one believes in them because they're just girls. And in India, women have a little rough, right? Historically, women don't have the same, rights and stuff as men in a lot of areas. So people are like, they're just girls. No one cares about women's field hockey. Blah. That's dumb, right? Plus, you've got just all these people trying to become teammates together and overcome all this stuff. And it's really good, right? They're trying to make it to the women's finals in Australia. That's their goal. So they try this whole like sports movie thing. A lot of those sports movie tropes are there, like trying to overcome and work together. There's like this one girl who just like refuses. She's like, no, you just suck. You'll never be my coach. You love Pakistan more than you love anybody here, blah, blah, blah. So there's that one holdout girl, and he like kind of makes a connection with her later in the end. And there's this whole thing about how these girls try to work together or don't work together all the time, and animosity between each other, and how they overcome that, and how they see women's roles in society and everything like that. So this movie is really good. It's a little longish, but if you want to watch a sports movie, you should definitely watch that. It's pretty good.
Okay.
And then the last one.
Exciting.
Huh?
That's exciting.
It was good. It's really good. Right? It's like a really good like sports, really intense, and it's shot really well, and it's really great. And you're just like, if you want a bit of a lighthearted sports movie, maybe a sports romantic comedy, well, then you could watch Dibole Khadipa, which is fantastic. This is about the tagline here. A feisty cricket expert enters the men's cricket team to play a match. However, she is in a predicament when she falls for the handsome cricket coach. So this girl is like an awesome cricketer, right? But they won't let her try out for this team. So she's like part of a variety show. She does like cricket batting and like singing and dancing and stuff. So she dresses up as a man and tries out for the team, right? But then like there's this whole dichotomy of like when she's not dressed up as a man, she and the coach guy who comes from London to be with his dad tricks him to come back home so he can win this match because they need his son's like a really good cricketer.
Yeah.
But he's in England. He's living in England. So his dad gets him to come home and captain this team. And they kind of like have all tryouts and they get all these people to come in and everything. And she wants to try out, but then they meet like off the field when she's like a woman and they kind of like hit it off and have this relationship. So there's these awkward things where she's like playing two people, right? She's pretending to be her own brother, which she doesn't actually have a brother. But when she dresses up as a man, she claims it. Oh, no, I'm her brother. Yeah. So there's hilarity and hijinks. Also, again, the girl in this movie, Rani Mukherjee, my favorite new Indian actress, just, she's back again, ladies and gentlemen, being amazing. This movie definitely has more of those classic Bollywood things. Like there are singing and dancing numbers, but in this movie, they make sense. Like when they start doing it, you're like, oh, they're at a party and now they're dancing. Or this is a performance in the circus thing and they're singing and dancing. And it makes sense. And I like it. So now there's like context for why this is happening. It's not just out of the blue, like in Darbar. You're like, what? You just went to what? So this one, it makes sense. There's good stuff. There's hilarity. in those situations where she's like, oh no, she's like, because she's talking to him as a man. He's like, I need to talk to your sister right now, and he's like, I don't know where she is. That classic comedy when you're playing two people, right? Of course. So this one's really good. You should watch that one if you want a lighthearted comedy, right? With some sports, with some cricket thrown in for drama. Plus Rani Maharji. Obviously, you want her because she's great. So there you go. Lightning round recommendations for if you want to watch some of those. I liked it. It was very interesting. Again, it was like big and bold and colorful, and there's lots of that singing. But again, it made sense. There was context. It didn't just come out of the blue and hit you over the head like what. Plus, you had the anchor of some of those classic like sports movie tropes are still there. Like you have to overcome adversity. Like, oh, I have to do this. Lots of other like very strong Indian patriotism in this movie, like snuck in there randomly, because they were again playing Pakistan, but it wasn't like near as serious as the field hockey. Yeah, right? It was a little more lighthearted. Like the Pakistani guy and the Indian guy were like friends, and they were like, "Oh, we should have a match with our teams and our, blah blah blah," and they did. It wasn't like there was no animosity there, right? Like,
nice.
It was pretty good. So
yeah,
you can watch that.
I am going to force you.
I'll text those actual names.
Yes,
so
actually, if you could just text me the link to the Wikipedia, that'd be even better.
Okay. I'll have to do that later. I'll do that when we're done. But there we go. There's my lightning round recommendations for some sports movies. If you're interested in sporting movies. So, yes.
Okay. Like this.
Again, Chak De India, if you want some more serious, and Dilbul Adipa, if you want some romance, comedy, silliness in your cricket movie. So there you go.
Awesome.
There we go. There's all my, like I said, I'm in. These are good. I like them. Probably watch another one tomorrow.
No, that's great. Yeah. No, I'm excited to watch mine. I just, I need some prep time. I need some prep. It's a lot.
Yeah.
That's true. And again, that's why I looked for something that was familiar, because I didn't want to end up in like that situation where I went, what? Until a little bit later. Right. Because now some of these things are starting to make more sense after I've seen like 5 of them.
Sure.
Right? Like,
part of it too. If you start picking up those tropes, you start picking up on the cinematic history and some of those. And I'm sure by your 20th one, you'll be even more so.
It is just fun to watch something that's just like so different. Because again, not even though there's a lot of stuff is similar.
Sure.
Right. Some of the situations are similar. It's just the way some of it's handled is different. It's just interesting and fun. It's just fun to watch something new and different. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Again, hard to find on Amazon because they hide it. So
yeah, definitely need to. Hopefully they start surfacing those all foreign films from all the different markets a little bit better and putting them into their own genres and subcategories too.
Yeah,
because that
got buried. Even if they made the foreign film thing easier to find,
that's step 1, right? Yes,
I would settle with that for a start.
Step 2 and 3 is put them in actual categories. Start putting them on which ones were award winning for their markets and that kind of thing too. Like that would all be really nice to know.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that Mardani did win several awards for awesomeness. Oh. So there you go. I don't remember which ones, but I looked it up. It won a couple. So, and my new favorite person, Rani, there is she's won lots of awards too. Apparently, she's a very good actress. So, just watch anything she's in. Right there you go. It's got her in it. Watch it. Done. Nailed it.
Nice.
All right.
I
Sounds
like this.
Good.
We will work on coming up with another challenge. Aaron, come up with a challenge. Not right now. Later.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like I got
spot and go.
No, but I like this. This is really fun. I really enjoyed it, and not just because I came up with it. It was my idea, but it's just been really fun to watch these, and I really enjoyed them. So I'm probably going to keep it up for at least a little bit while. Get some more in there, and then just have it. So I have kind of a list of things if I'm ever looking for some time on a weekend later or something. I'm like, oh, I can watch one.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll look forward to
hearing
future reviews and
yes,
stuff. So, well, I think after our marathon of a show here, we should probably also close it down. So.
Probably should. Sounds good.
Well, love you guys.
Sounds good. Love you too.
Bye. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.